Hey guys, good morning. Welcome to the show. It's What's the Deal with Adam and Neil. And I'm Adam.
And I'm Matt.
Yeah, it's great to have Matt on the show this morning. And it's good old Monday morning. And hopefully all of you feel pretty rested. And we got all sorts of things to talk about this morning, right?
Oh yeah, we got plenty.
Yeah. Matt's got a whole bunch of stuff up his sleeve. And so I feel like we'll just start off kind of easing into that and say today is April 27th, which means it's Atlas's birthday, which is fun. That's my daughter. And so we get to celebrate her day of birth. And
is she one now?
She's one, yeah. So we got strawberry cupcakes.
There you go.
And it'll be us as a family having our own little...
Are you going to do that thing where you film her like smashing the cake into her face?
Yeah, but I don't think that's today.
Okay.
I think we're pushing the cake smash thing later.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never understood why people do that, but you are one of the people, so maybe you can explain.
Just because I do it doesn't mean I understand it.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, because I don't understand that.
Okay.
But speaking of smashing cakes into faces, I feel like you need to explain at the wedding reception for you why and the thought process behind you as a groom for only about 1 hour, why you smashed your cake into your new bride's face.
So we actually have I wish I got this video so far, but our videographer sent us a Polo, like a Marco Polo of it, that whole scenario going down, and she was explaining everyone's thought process literally frame by frame. So like if she'd stop and she'd be like, here you can see Lauren is thinking about smashing it into Matt's face. Here you can see Matt got upset, so he smashed it back. So what happened was that we were both standing there, and beforehand we talked about it where she was like, oh, you can smash it in my face, it's okay, just don't get in on my dress or something like that. And I was like, okay. But then I decided, you know what, I'm gonna be a nice guy. I'm gonna offer it to her. It's cold outside. I don't want it to feel like it's a burden. I don't want to like get in the way. I just want it to be like a fun little time. We feed each other cake. So we stood there, and I held it straight out for her, probably for a good 5 seconds. When she so she put it out to me and immediately like smashed it in my face, and I like accepted it and I just held it there. But she was too busy like smushing it in my face. So I was like, you know what? Okay. And I like jolted it up. And in the video, you see her head backlash from me nailing her up the nose. And she got a bunch of cake up her nose and in her eyes and stuff. Yeah. She had to go to the bathroom for a few minutes because I smashed this cake like literally and destroyed her face.
Yes. So while you ask, hey, Adam, of a little kid, why would you have a birthday cake that you have it so your kid can smash it all up? I reply with, why do you smash the cake into your bride's face?
Even in the attendance of 10 or less, we need to make it a show.
Yeah.
We gotta present ourselves well to the public so they can have a good time with it.
Yeah.
So it's all about presentation.
Well, that's a good point. Most millennials run off of YOLO.
True.
Yours is like, you're like at the end. I don't know what exactly you are.
I'm both.
What the stat is, yeah.
I'm and/or.
So the and/or of the next generation, apparently it is make memories. And you made some.
I'll take some make memories versus, I feel like the other one is don't make memories and just be on your phone. So if
YOLO
Gen Z.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm either Gen Z or millennial. So I'd rather be a millennial than Gen Z. I feel like it's slowly going down. No offense to all my students, but I'd like to be a millennial. So.
Words of wisdom. Okay, so Matt has something for us this morning.
Yeah. So yesterday, Adam and I we saw each other for like the first time probably in a couple weeks because I was on my honeymoon.
Actually, you're only gone for a week, but we have talked about this.
Yes.
It felt like it was 3 weeks long. It was weird.
Yeah, so there was some phenomena that was going on, and we have no idea what it was. So today, I was like, you know what? I'm going to wear my glasses and be Nerd Matt. And I need to like...
You were really good at math when you were in high school.
I was.
So I feel like this is up your alley.
This is so I calculated out, I thought through it, and I wanted to present to you guys a conspiracy theory, first of all, that was from before, and now we came up with a new theory that I think will round out with what we were talking about yesterday. So we have this board.
I've not seen any of this before, so I don't know what this is.
Jason, you were right. This is so difficult.
Okay,
I'm like gonna pull a muscle doing this. Whipping it around.
So
this is the Mandela. This is hard to look at that point. Mandela effect.
Is that named for Nelson Mandela?
It is. So I don't know if many of you remember and know your different history.
Your South African history.
My South African history. Back in 2013, Nelson Mandela died. People were actually so astounded by this because Nelson Mandela, they actually thought had died back in 1984. And so everyone was like, what happened? What's going on? And I'm about to explain to you the Nelson Mandela effect. So it starts out, as you can see, with Star Wars. Then you have Nelson Mandela, and then you have the Statue of Liberty. How do all these connect? I don't know, but I'm about to show you.
Okay.
First, Star Wars. Everyone knows it is a destroyed franchise that they're trying to rebuild, but that's not the point of this. The point of this is, what does Darth Vader say to Luke?
He says, no.
Exactly. How many times have you heard someone say, Luke, I am your father? All the time. People are saying it all the time. I mean, I don't know what's going on with that, but it's not that actual phrase. It's actually, no, I'm your father. But everyone's saying it's Luke, I am your father. Why do we have this wrong theory through everyone's mind that they think it's Luke, I'm your father?
Yeah.
So that's where that came from. The other idea is Nelson Mandela. So like I explained, he died back in 2013. So why would everyone think he died back in the 80s or 84 or whenever it was? Then the third one is the Statue of Liberty. So the Statue of Liberty, where do you think it's located? Off of just your base knowledge, do you have any idea where you're like, oh, it's on blank island?
I was going to say New York City.
Well, yes. Continue.
Okay.
If you don't know, it's okay.
It's next to Ellis Island.
Yes. So it is.
This is really tough trivia.
It is Ellis Island. So the point is, many people, I know it is 9:30, but many people say that it is on Liberty Island. And so if you were to Google it.
It is Ellis Island.
It is, I think it is Ellis Island. It's one of the two. It goes back and forth. There's another one next
to it that has that creepy old building on it, but
what?
There it is. But anyway.
Okay, I'm glad you remembered that. Next time I go to New York,
which is Ellis. Yeah.
I'll look for the creepy old building. Maybe that's part of it. I just broke this. Dang it.
You're very passionate. Right
so, Statue of Liberty. Is it on Ellis Island? Is it on Liberty Island? It's actually on Ellis Island, but many different millennials as well as Gen Zers would say it's on Liberty Island. And why is all of this happening? What's all going on? Well, it's the idea of the Mandela effect. And so the idea is that we are in two parallel universes. If that doesn't make sense to you, let me imagine in the comic books.
It does actually, because I've seen Ant-Man.
Yes, exactly. So if you don't know and you're watching,
I understand what you're talking about.
If you don't know and you're watching, it's the idea that there's multiple universes and anything can be happening in these universes, and it just happens to be that the one that we're living in is the one that we're knowing. But say there's another universe where we're all bananas and we're all talking. So I mean, there are infinite amount of things that could happen. Other ideas this comes on is there's multiple different movies about time travel, things like that, and you go through the parallel universe or you just go back in time. But usually the best explanation is parallel universe. The idea is that it's a different universe that all of this happened in, and to go even deeper, 2012. What happened in 2012? The end of the world. All right, do you remember what happened that year? Other than an awesome movie that came out that no one remembers, 2012.
Oh, the movie?
Yeah.
I was going to say the end of the world, Mayan prophecy thing.
Yes.
Wasn't it in December?
Yes, it was the calendar.
This
it ended.
This is really funny trivia. I'm
so,
you're just pulling it from
dude,
all
hey,
sorts of places.
I've researched this.
Hit me with something else that's bizarre.
Dude, you'll get ready. So, 2012. The Mayan calendar ended. And so what some people are speculating is that in 2012, everything restarted And that was the moment that everything started back anew, and we adapted into a parallel universe. So the world actually did end, and we just adapted into a new parallel universe, and it came one. And that's why they say that Nelson Mandela actually was alive. He didn't die in 1984, back in 2012, because he actually was alive now. And the Statue of Liberty, it was moved to a different location. Another idea with the Statue of Liberty is, have you ever heard of people being able to go to the torch of the Statue of Liberty?
Yeah, I've heard that rumor.
So people speculate, and others are saying, oh, I was definitely there. Everyone says, oh, I could go up to the was on the torch. I looked out, I saw. But the thing is, the torch was closed back in 1914. So back in 1914, how could all these people that are now our age, and they're saying, I was up there on the torch? Impossible. Or was it? So back in 2012, everything restarted. They were actually able to go on the torch before 2012, but their new memories came in. And then as well, Star Wars, it all restarted. Everyone remembered, oh, Luke, I'm your father. No, it's no, I'm your father. Or that switched over. And then the other side is, the last one, have you ever heard of the Bernstein Bears?
Yes. Have I?
Yes.
You tell me.
I mean, I don't know.
The little comic book?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had those comic books, but was it called the Bernstein Bears?
How did you, yes.
Okay, I didn't know if there was a zinger coming.
But it wasn't.
Okay, how's it?
So, how did you spell Bernstein Bears?
I think we spelled it Berstein, but I don't fully remember.
Berstin.
No, Stein.
So, it's actually called the Bernstein Bear. I think it's the other one is the Bernstein Bears or something. So,
this is great.
So, or bears. Yeah, okay.
Sorry,
So
I didn't mean to dismantle. I guess I could have spelled it.
Oh no, yeah. So how did you spell it?
All right. This is just a spelling test, right?
Yeah, spell it.
Berstein.
Okay. Well, that's not how it's spelled.
Okay. Well, I was 5.
It's spelled Stan. The Bernstein Bears, not the Bernstein Bears.
Well, maybe that's how it's spelled, but how's it pronounced?
Just because it doesn't matter. Everyone's remembering spelling it that way, but it's actually spelled the other way.
It was like cursive and stuff.
So, what?
Yeah, on the cover of the books.
I don't even. Oh yeah, it was like cursive. Yeah, that makes sense. But still,
I'm just saying.
So this idea
again, like 5.
of the Mandela effect, that's all restarted back in 2012. The world did end, and we now have all these new memories. Man, if you want to look up videos, there's thousands of them of people documenting in front of them how there's a parallel universe. This one lady showed a chase sign that changed multiple times. That one was ridiculous that I watched, but
that's funny.
She was like, look, it's a new chase sign. And it's actually, they literally have 3 different logos. So she just being like, the logo's changed again. And we're like, okay, that's fun. Anyway.
This is eye-opening.
It is.
I did not see this topic coming at 9 in the morning.
Well, you need to prepare your mind.
This is more like a 3 a.m. kind of topic.
To me, it still is 3 a.m. A lack of sleep last night led to this. So, the other idea is that we have a new effect that is in play. So, we talked about the Mandela effect, but Adam presented to you the idea, oh, well, why does it feel like there's actually 3 days happening when it's only 1 day? So it felt, we were only gone for a week, felt like 3. Why has the past few days or the past month overall during the virus felt like this? And what actually happened? So I have a couple different ideas, and I'd like you to choose which do you think is best.
Okay.
And then we're going to name this effect.
This is really fun. This is a very fun interactive episode.
So the ideas are...
Actually, I kind of wish I was in school and you were like the teacher.
Well, I wanted to be a teacher.
Like the online teacher. That'd be so fun.
Dude, I'd be a crazy online teacher.
Mom, look at this guy.
Dude, that'd
be awesome.
Lost it.
All right.
Like he's just figuring out that I'm woke.
Yeah.
This is what's happening.
This guy thinks he's. All right. So tell me.
So
let's talk to this effect.
One idea is that instead of it all resetting in 2012, it actually resetted in 2000, and so. Back during Y2K.
That may have happened. I remember Y2K, and it was quite the ordeal.
So Y2K, if you remember back in the 1900s.
You were 4. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Do you remember back that far?
I do, yeah. I was alive in the 1900s.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, but even farther back in 1900 itself, there was actually similar patterns from the beginning of that century to the beginning of this century.
Okay.
And so if you look at 2000, Y2K, it started out with, there was a war, there was, we declared that war on terrorism, as well as in Iraq and Afghanistan, all these different wars were happening.
2000,
yeah, in the early 1900s.
We're like 2005 or so.
Still early,
okay.
But early 1900s.
9/11 had yet to happen.
Yeah, still, the idea, the same idea.
Okay.
There was a war going on in the 1900s.
Okay.
There was World War I had just ended, or was ending. I don't know, when did that end, you know?
That started at about 1915 or so. You remember the movie 1917?
World War I?
1917 movie.
Dude, World War I totally thought was started in the 1800s. I thought
Why
it
are
started
you
in
giving the lesson?
1899. Anyway, sorry. Anyway,
You
so
literally saw the movie 1917.
I did, but I thought that was World War II. No, it wasn't, because World War II is the 40s and 30s.
Let's keep going.
So anyway,
Keep going with it. It's like talking to my crazy uncle.
So 1900s, it started out with a war, and then in about 1920, the stock market crashed. And then similarly, they began with, I think it was 1917, there was the Spanish flu had developed.
Okay.
And similarly, right now, we are in the coronavirus development. And that is in 2020. So 100 years later, almost a reset of the century. So what if during Y2K, everything reset, and we're actually going to relive almost a similar pattern as to what 1900s held? And if that's true, there were some really cool things that happened, but also terrifying things, such as nuclear bombs going off. They're stronger now. We also have the different, oh no, what's going to happen? People are threatening each other. Oh no, I don't know. I wasn't alive back then, so stuff happened. People had afros. What if we get those again?
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's one option. Another option, I don't even know what it could be, but it could be like the idea that back in 2012, life reset and the Mandela effect happened. But now there's this new effect that's beginning since we were given, in 2020 it began. Now we have every day last 3 extra days, because I'm not gonna lie, this year has lasted forever, it feels like. And I saw a meme the other day, and it was, if you ever watched SpongeBob, there was that side of SpongeBob was showing diapers to Patrick and all of it, and essentially he's he's ripping off and showing that there's diapers everywhere in their house. And it starts out and it shows just a little bit of diapers in the trash can, and he's it first shows that, and it's coronavirus or something, and then he rips off something else, and it's this another thing. It kept showing all these different things that were happening, and then it was and it's only February, and it showed it kept getting worse. So the same idea is that it feels like it's been a long year, but man, what if it's actually been 3 years so far, or technically a full year, because we've been in for 4 months now. So 4 times 3 is 12. We've actually lived a whole year. And it's been 3 months.
Man, this is quite detailed.
That's the answer.
It's a little scary hearing you say all this without any notes, despite the fact that a quarter of the details were wrong. I feel like
it's only a quarter. That's 75% right.
Yeah, that's a C. So, hey.
Hey, I passed.
You passed. And so, yeah, I'm a little scared that you actually just told me all that.
Is there any other, I don't know, I'm trying to think if there's any other things that, what other weird conspiracies have happened so far?
I guess I don't see the similarities of our first 20 years with the first 20 years of the 19th.
Well, there is the reset of the market, the stock market, essentially. We had intense elections that were happening back then, I'm assuming. Every election is intense. We had wars and viruses.
Wars and rumors of wars, yeah.
Exactly.
So what's the name of this effect?
This is where you come in.
Yeah.
I need you to name this new effect, because it started with you.
Well, here I have some apples to apples. cards. I'm just going to take this. It is the, well, coincidentally, it starts off with the first half of the word is bull. And the next, that's really funny in light of what you said. The second part is winkle. Yes, so.
Wait, is it a separate word? Or
It's
is
actually one word, yeah.
Then I'll dash it.
That's fine. The Bullwinkle effect.
And you know what makes me think of this? Rocky and Bullwinkle. So, Rocky and Bullwinkle, when did that cartoon come out?
I don't know.
Back in the I have no idea. It's like 70s, something like that. It was in color, so maybe like 60s. I don't know, something like that. But 1959, older than I thought. But regardless, there was a movie about it, but no one remembers the movie. So what if that leads back to the Mandela effect? No one remembers it because it never happened. So
coincidentally, I do a funny story with this whole spiel. More like up here. Back in college, there was a group of us who we started talking about some old movies, and we were talking about this movie of Sinbad being a genie, and we're like, yeah, it wasn't Shazam because that was Shaq.
Yeah.
But we thought like, yeah, Sinbad was in this movie. So several of us had talked about this, and several of us had agreed. I even asked Lynn at one point. She's like, yeah, I remember that movie. That movie does not exist.
Exactly.
It is actually a BuzzFeed article. So it wasn't just this isolated little group. And Lynn's from California. I grew up over on this side of the U.S. But in addition, these writers did a little investigating to try to figure out why does this whole pocket of millennials.
Classic BuzzFeed, news that's not actually news.
Yes, exactly. I know, and they claim they are, but that's another article, another topic. But yeah, I just thought it was so funny that not only did a group of us talk about that, but like it's actually like some of their investigation as to why that happened.
So all of these all relate because it's random things that you remember and like multiple people remember. So that's why this idea came up, is because there's so many random things that people are remembering that it's like that actually didn't happen, but I feel like it did, and I remember it, you remember it, and he remembers it, and none of us like were around each other during that time. So how could we all remember this? So that happens a lot, and so that's where the idea of the Mandela effect happened.
So the Shaq movie is Kazam. Right, Kazam came out when we were kids. This is super funny in hindsight. This would be like LeBron James doing this movie where he's a genie, like because Shaq was a well-known athlete. Anyway, so there's a group who think that well, this was in the '90s. He was still.
He's well known now. Yeah, he's doing all his Gold Bond commercials where he's lathering up his body.
He's like a young athlete, and he's doing this. So there's this like theory out there about this movie called Shazam with Sinbad, and several of us were convinced it's a movie, and it's even like a BuzzFeed article. But anyway, all to say, there's that. There are in organizational theory, or actually just any broader theory. A term for that is called groupthink, where a group of people, I mean, it's a little different, but it's
you are a doctor.
It's the same concept. Yeah, it's the same concept in which you have a group of people who basically they're limited in their information and they make decisions, and they because they don't bring in outside opinion, they consistently make more wrong opinions in a vacuum. And it's kind of like this. So you have a group of conspiracy theorists who are convinced of something, and they need new friends. Where somebody comes in and says, "Guys, you know, like it's really 2020. It's a different year than any year before. There are similarities because we're people." In history,
it repeats itself.
Well, it sort of
sometimes
doesn't, because
of the Mandela effect. I mean, Bullwinkle effect at this point.
Like, well, it doesn't actually. Yeah. Anyway. So there's like the past, and it, it builds upon each other. But anyway, cool. Okay. Well, I'm glad that we just took 20 minutes to tell everybody about the Mandela effect conspiracy theory of Matt Schwenk. Did you watch like some YouTube videos on this?
And
now you're
like 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So back when I was in college, I watched a YouTube video that explained this, and I was like, interesting. Mainly because it was just like one of those things where I was like, I'm really bored today, so let me watch it. And then And just to make sure I had most random facts about it, literally 5 minutes before the show, I Googled a couple of these.
Dude, that's funny. Well,
this one I have no idea. I came up with this in the car because you mentioned it's 3 days. So.
Yeah, well, I've been hearing a lot of people say that same thing.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, there's something going on.
There is. Something's in the water.
Something's in the water, man. There must be something in the water.
Yeah, okay, well, hey, let's bring it down to something a little more spiritual.
Okay.
Did you watch the church service yesterday?
I did.
Yeah. I thought I saw you logged on.
Yeah.
That was cool. Neil preached.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall any parts from it that really stood out to you?
Lauren and I really liked, well, there's a couple different ones. Like he mentioned kind of social media and watching yourself on it and being like encouraging or even just like not even posting at all. But he mentioned that, as well as he also mentioned some really good things that were very inspiring to us.
I was actually hoping he was going to bust out like the phrase, at least our dad used to say as a kid, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all.
Dude, he should have. It should have been like
that's classic dad.
Teamwork makes the dream work kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So the idea I love the idea that he had where it was like just almost like the inspirational talk of, hey, like as Christians, like we need to step up and let us like almost like for me and Lauren, we sat there and we were like, dude, like we need to text all of our nurse friends. We're like, we need to step up and we need to be leading the way in loving others well and pointing others to Christ. And it totally makes sense off of a lot of what he was saying, where he was saying that Christianity was growing significantly during that time. Like even though people were dying and people were incapacitated, Christianity was growing because Christians were the only ones that were like pouring themselves out, and people would be like, heck yeah, I'll follow that. That's awesome. Like you're loving me well and I want to feel loved. So in that same way, that totally makes sense. And I really appreciated that part of it because that was inspiring to Lauren and I to want to, how can we serve the community? How can we be invested? Where can we go? What can we do? So.
That's good. Yeah, I had a similar takeaway, like just like overall vibe that you said. I found this quote on the second plague that he mentioned, the plague of Cyprian.
Yeah.
And this writer said, both the threat of imminent death from the plague and the unwavering conviction among many of the Christian clergy in the face of it won many converts to the faith. That's actually a quote from Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Like citing an actual, author. So, yeah, that's that was one of my takeaways too. Was really just this overall vibe. What's the reputation and what do you?
Yeah. No, I love that stuff. It was also cool, like seeing him go through history. And kind of like mention all these things. Like I'm in a Christian history class right now, and so him pulling out Martin Luther, and we talked about the Black Plague in class, and like how Martin Luther was like so confident in himself to the point, and like in God ultimately, basically saying like regardless. It reminded me of Daniel 3:17. I want to say is, and so and the idea in that one is it's. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They're standing there, and Nebuchadnezzar's like, "I'm going to throw you into the fire, and I'm going to kill you because you're not following instructions." Yeah. And it's like you can choose to either bow down now or you will die. And like he gives them that ultimatum, and they look at him in the eye and they say, "O king, like we will not bow down to you or your gods. We will not submit ourselves to you because we're submitting ourselves to God and he will save us." And then they continue on with that and they say, but even if he doesn't save us, we will still worship him and give him our all. And like that, or like some of that, like that's a paraphrase version. So that idea, the Matt Schwank version, like bam.
The NSV.
Yeah. So with that idea though, it was so like, it's so inspiring and incredible to see another Christian man, even if it's just in history and it's Martin Luther, who many people like respect. Like he still stood up and had that, and we have a genuine because some people everyone always goes through and will be like, well, is this real? Is that real? Where is that at? Like we have multiple history points where Christian men stood up with the power of God and with the fear of God in their mind. They were like, I know I'm going to follow Christ and I'm going to do this, or I'm going to follow Yahweh and I'm going to serve him regardless of the situation. So that was super inspiring as well as kind of motivating for me and Lauren to hear that, and we were like, yeah, that's awesome. Like, good job, Martin Luther. So.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I like that. So I have a little bit of a Mandela effect question for you to circle back on what you just said without trying to sound nitpicky. I just think it's fun because it circles back. Who are the three guys with Daniel?
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Yeah. That last one? How do you spell that?
Abednego, A-B-E-N, Ben. I'm pretty sure it's D-A-G-O-L or D-A-G-O. So Abednego.
Yeah. So this is actually is a fun question because on one hand, this doesn't matter, right? On the other hand, it's since you brought this up and grilled me on when Nelson Mandela was the president of South Africa.
I didn't even know it was South Africa.
And how the
some
Statue
African
of Liberty was given to us by France, and how Star Wars is often confused with Star Trek. I have another one for you with it's Abednego.
Abednego. Oh, okay. So I just mixed up the D and N.
Yeah. But the reason I want to say that is because if you polled all Christians in America who learned some sort of poor version of a history on the Book of Daniel, they would tell you Abednego. It's way easier.
It's because
to
it's
say.
easier to say.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Or I wonder if it was
I had said that for years, and it was like 5 years ago.
It's probably also because of VeggieTales too, because VeggieTales calls them Benny.
They do.
And so when you hear Benny, you're gonna spell it B-E-N first.
Yeah.
So that was what was immediately in my mind was Benny. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's interesting. You're right. So it should be Bedney.
Bedney. Hey Bedney, get over here.
Or bed. Yeah. So I believe that's true. It's one of those things that it's that off the wall that it just doesn't seem like it makes sense. But I remember reading them and being like, I always went and Abednego, and I was like, wait,
Abednego. Yeah.
If you say it real fast, it sounds the same. And so when I preach, I try to say it real quick so I don't sound like I am saying somebody different.
Yeah.
What everyone else is already preparing themselves to say.
Yeah, I don't think anyone
you should preach them out of order and then really just throw people off.
I mean, I'll probably mess it up though, if I'm honest, because I'm so used to saying Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, rather than being like Meshach, Abednego, Shadrach. Like just throwing that out.
What I mean is like as a listener, or as
it will catch your attention, I guess.
Yeah, you got to like say certain things if people are expecting you to go a certain route. Their mind is engaged differently.
That's true.
Than if you are surprised with the direction. Like if I just slapped you right now, you would not have seen that coming.
I wouldn't have, and that would hurt. I don't know if I'd like that.
I thought about doing it, but this is on live TV. So.
Yeah, we can't do that. Later. We'll figure it out.
Later.
We'll do like the slapsgiving thing. Have you ever heard of that where it's like someone that...
Yeah. I don't know why people get into that.
We did that one year at camp when I worked for a camp, and a guy was like, all right, because of what you did, like whoever wins this bet or whatever gets to slap the other person at one point throughout the whole summer. And man, next time I'm on the show, I'll show that clip because it is hilarious. It's literally the last day of all of camp, and everyone had forgotten about it. And the one guy's sitting there lounging because it's like we had nothing to do. So he's like sitting up there and he's asleep, and the guy got above him and like stood on a like platform right above him and then whipped him and like right in the face, and you just like see his whole jaw like just like jolt, and then he like wakes up and he's like, and then he just smiles and he goes, nicely done. And it was like, wow, like that seems awful. I would never want to do that.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Oh man, that's funny. Those are funny pranks.
Yeah.
When they're forgotten.
That's true.
Cool. Well, hey, I feel like that's good. Yeah, that's good for us today. Thanks for joining us, and tomorrow we will have something a little more substantive than conspiracy theory with Matt, and it will be Taco Tuesday.
Woo! I love tacos.
So, yeah, we're gonna upgrade. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Good.
Yep. Anyway, thanks for joining us today. Have a great Monday, everyone.
See y'all.